All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria. Time to bring in newspaper review in just a moment.
Yeah, our newspaper reviewer, Chukudi Okoli Ubaja is here. Chuks?
For me, it's tea time. The regular tea time. Always happy to be here. Hello, wonderful pair.
Good morning, Chukudi.
Morning. Demo, you're looking suave.
All right, let's quickly, so we gain enough time. We'd like to start with People's Daily. People's Daily has, as its lead story this morning, police arrest syndicate for trafficking girls to Mauritania. That's the lead story. And there are other stories there. Governor Kwebolo pledges compensation for Urumi 16 victims. And insecurity, Benue youths protest incessant killings and kidnapping. That story is also on the front page there. And then federal government revokes housing allocation to defaulting recipients who fail to comply within 90 days. And politics of money, bag hits Niger APC Council consensus as party sport denies claims. Party's apex, denies claims. Nigeria advocates international laws on cyber-enabled immigration crimes. National initiative to curb hypertension, cardiovascular diseases takes off. Now that's the outlook of the front page of the People's Daily. I return to the leadership now. The leadership is quite busy. Northern elders hail Tinubu over improved security. That's on page 4. Fear grips businesses as U.S. trade war escalates on page 4. And Trump unveils sweeping new tariffs. Crypto market loses $90 billion, and how Nigeria can't minimize impact. That's according to experts. And other stories now. 51 illegal migrants arrested in Nasarawa. Urumi killings. DSS arrests 2 principal suspects. It's on page 21. And there are other stories there. I'll just hand over to Ademola.
Okay, I have the Daily Times newspaper with me. The Daily Times newspaper, just above the nameplates, Constitution Amendment, President, governors may lose authority to make emergency laws. Then defiant Natasha returns home in helicopter despite ban. Details on page 11. Then we have the House suspected minor header killed 35-year-old mother at Imom community, Nasarawa State. That's the details of that story can be found on page 2. And we have protests erupt in Otukpo over incessant killings. Details on page 11. Nigeria seeks global partnership to combat organized crime. Details on page 11. Edo governorship election dispute. Igadolo Okpebolo no fate today. Details of that story can be found on page 10. And going to Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper. Natasha defies ban, lands at rally group in Chopper. Then Edo governorship APC PDP confident of victory as tribunal rules today. Details on page 13. Man absconds as wife gives birth to triplets. Details of that story can be found on page 6. Federal government borrows 13.21 trillion naira from World Bank in 20 months. Fresh $1.1 billion loan approved in 1 week as debt profile hits 142 trillion naira. Details of that story can be found on page 3 and 4. Urumi killings, DSS has arrested 2 principal suspects. Edo government. Kano reiterates call for justice, victims' rights to freedom of movement violated. Chooks?
I don't know the details of the constitutional amendment story where you said or hinted that president governors may lose authority to make emergency laws. We need to read the details to understand it. Otherwise, if a president or governor cannot make emergency laws in some situations, you imperil lives sometimes. You do imperil lives. Like the River State thing. How many pipelines went up in flames before President Tinubu descended? Are you saying that the president should not have authority to say, hey, let's do this immediately before the thing escalates? What we must insist on is that the procedure should not be departed from eventually. You must allow democracy to work properly. But I think there are situations that demand that you take immediate action concerning some situations, you know. So that's what I want to think about it. Illegal migrants arrested in Nasarawa. Are you all going Trumpian? You know, when a big gun drops a phrase, sometimes a word catches it and it becomes their sing-song. Illegal migrants in Nasarawa, come to think of it, illegal migrants are so many in Nigeria that we were talking about porous borders the other time.
Yeah.
And I said, those borders are going to remain porous as long as kith and kin remains the driving force in African relations. Because somebody can stand at the other side of the border and tell you, hey, greet mama from you. We're all kith and kin. Africa does have things to resolve, doesn't it?
The illegal migrants
Yes.
are all Malians, aged between 17 and 25, arrested at their hideouts following incredible intelligence.
Yes.
Now, you know, and this is from the Nigerian Immigration Service.
They are usually Malians or Nigerians.
Yes. The migrants may have been victims of trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants, you know, and all that. And I was just showing Demola, you know, I don't know how we cannot confirm that story this morning, that the Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have started imposing, you know, import
fines.
Who's going to suffer it? Who relies on who more?
That is the question.
You know, when I read these series, Nick Carter, he was the American spy, just like James Bond was. There was a place where he said so many things that tended to portray him as beating his chest. And the man said, those are famous last words. You'll soon die. The Burkina Faso, Mali and
Niger,
they are imposing tariffs on who? Well, we can cut off their lifeline, come to think of it.
You know, ECOWAS has been very magnanimous in not, you know, rolling out the sledgehammer, because it will mean a lot for the peoples of those countries. And I think that is what the ECOWAS community is considering. Look, if we do this, the impact will not be on the junta. It will be on the ordinary citizens.
It's still African brotherhood.
Yes,
we're not discouraging it.
Exactly,
you know?
because that's the centerpiece of our well, we're not talking about Nigeria now. We're talking about ECOWAS.
Yes, as a bloc.
As a bloc, you know. So that's principally what ECOWAS is considering. And I don't know how ECOWAS, if that story is confirmed, if it's true, if it's factual, we don't know how ECOWAS may want to react to that. But
it's true. It's true.
Kudos to the DSS. 2 principal suspects in the Uromi killings arrested. Actually, the governor said many more people have been arrested. I mean, it was something that was done practically in broad daylight, so it shouldn't be very difficult fishing out these people. It is the impunity that leads Nigerians to slaughter Nigerians without batting an eyelid that should worry you and I. It's worry you and me. The object and subject in English is sometimes a problem, you know. So we should not be allowed the wild, wild west scenario, you know, because that is moving towards the precipice. And
you know, I wonder wherein lies our conscience, the conscience of man. because every human being has a conscience. The conscience to, just snuff out the life and just like that. Not even, incinerating, putting fire on. Anyway.
Anyway, that's the challenge that we have when we don't have, especially when people just take laws into their own hands, and we have this jungle justice.
The greater implication is that we're losing compassion into the next generations. And it boils down to, I said yesterday that the family unit has virtually collapsed. When people were saying that parents were trying to get Android phones for their children so that they would be in a position to engage in Yahoo business. That's not us. That's not how we were. They asked you, whose son are you? Are you not ashamed of yourself? Practically the marketplace then. Now you take up the cane against somebody's daughter or son, and the next time you find yourself doing a case round that could take you to the Supreme Court. That's not Africa. And Africa will keep on suffering from departing from how it was.
That's the effect of globalization.
Globalization. This is not globalization. I keep asking you, when you tell me this is why this is happening, I tell you the Japanese and the Chinese still maintain certain traditions. Nigerians find very lame excuses easily.
There's a story that, of course, should have been boom on all the papers this morning, but apparently the overhaul of the NNPC board, and the replacement of the executive,
I think the story came late. That's why.
That's why it's not
late.
Yes.
That's why it's not.
Yes.
Is it going to be new wine in old bottle, or is it going to be old wine in old bottle? That's the point.
Well, it's a clean sweep, if you ask me. It's a clean sweep.
It's okay.
From the GMD to all the...
Demola will soon kick me out politely. So let me quickly say that what concerns me more is their inability to reach a Naira for crude arrangement, as the current one has expired in March. And this gives me goose pimples. Insider sources reveal that the government is unwilling to renew the agreement, citing revenue losses. According to these sources, the authorities view the Naira for crude policy as a financial compromise that deprives the government of necessary funds for intervention program. Let me hope that this is an investigation.
It is.
It's not attributed.
Again,
so,
there could be so many reasons.
Otherwise,
why, Mr. President, there's so many things going on around the oil and gas sector.
Yes.
So maybe in the days, going ahead, we'll get to know what has happened. But before we let you go, I know you're an Arsenal fan. You guys don't watch Nigeria Premier League. But Super Eagles must beat South Africa to qualify for 2026 World Cup. That's the Shelling. Bafana will host Nigeria in March the 8th encounter in September.
Claire,
yes.
I don't know why you choose to retard national progress. I've told you everything is wrong with the glass house. The way Super Eagles run on the pitch does not impress Chukwudi Okoliubaje. They run flat-footed. They don't run on the balls of their feet. For Warri and Nere Junction, they will tell you, say, the man sit down like pap, we don't spoil. The way our players are, they are not agile enough to win anything. And some of them are aged enough to be shot out of that pitch.
But you amaze me.
Oh, what do you mean?
You amaze me. The team that make up the Super Eagles now are international players, worldly recognized, both, their individual teams.
Skills and...
Yes, in terms of skills. Are you talking about Lukman? Are you talking about Osimhen? Are you talking about Ekong? Are you talking about, Iwobi?
Stop. When did Fulham substitute Iwobi yesterday? You see, you're not very current. You're not. He's losing it. I don't want to say this on national television.
Chooks,
yes. I tell people that...
The fact is that if you close your eyes to facts, you learn through accident. Chooks,
facts are sometimes personal.
Well, Chooks, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.